not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the War Games podcast number 16. So, as you guys know, if you've been paying attention to the podcast and what's been going on in the streams lately, tonight's a pretty easy night, or pretty special night. Myself and Weewoo, who is joining me tonight, are going to be giving away that monster fucking like $2,200 gaming PC. We're going to be doing that at the end of the podcast, so make sure you guys hang out to the end to catch the winner of that one. Now, as far as what we're going to be talking about tonight, as you guys can see on screen, we did a Halo mission, or Operation Trebuchet mission this previous Sunday, and luckily I am back on Twitch now. I wasn't able to stream this on Twitch. I was having some issues, but obviously I'm back now. But we did the Optray mission on Sunday, and that's kind of our go-to for our winter stand-down missions, our kind of fun missions that we do during the winter in the unit. And the reason it's kind of our go-to is we're big fans of it. It's a fun mod. A lot of really cool, new, interesting units get added in and stuff when you do this. In Northern, as far as length of podcast, we're generally around 2 hours is what we run for the podcast. Now, the reason I bring up Optray as far as, you know, being a fun mod and everything is tonight I want to talk with Weewoo about mods for ArmA. What's our favorite mods? What's broken? What works? So on and so forth. So, first thing I want to go to is Liru. If someone like just got ArmA today and they want to start using mods, what do you say is the first thing they need to go download mod-wise?
Ace.
Ace?
Let's be honest, because that adds a lot of new features to the game and really enhances the ArmA experience of how you're supposed to play the damn game.
And what is it about Ace that makes it so special to you? Like, what's kind of the standout feature of Ace for you?
I don't really say there's a standout feature for me in particular. It's just the fact that it literally improves everything. Fatigue, medical systems, NVGs, tactics, how the AI even behave in some scenarios. Just adds a lot of really nice touches in comparison to the vanilla game that can really improve the experience if you're looking to, you know, improve it in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Taco said in the chat there, the Ace Interact. We have guys all the time asking, you know, hey, what's that menu you're using? I see it all the time on Drums videos. You know, what's that pop-up menu you're using and stuff? And that's the Ace Interact. And that, to me, yeah, that's like the biggest part of Ace is that interaction menu and allowing you to do those things. So Ace, kind of the go-to mod. Something like CBA, you pretty much need CBA for everything. So Ace and CBA are really the two big ones. What's kind of your tertiaries, if you will? What do you think is kind of, aside from Ace and CBA, which is almost a must, what's kind of your go-to one that you think is really fun or like the best for gameplay?
Are we talking in terms of like what would enhance gameplay in general, or like the fun mods?
Yeah, what enhances the gameplay the most for you?
Probably Task Force Arrowhead Radio or its competitor Acre 2, or I think it might be called Acre 3 now, but that and enhanced movement.
Yeah, enhanced movement's definitely up there. Allows you to, when you guys see us like jump over short walls or like climb up on top of each other and get up on a roof and stuff, that's enhanced movement. Very nice. They also have now an enhanced NVG, which is really cool. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. We couldn't really use it because it made the IR lasers look like dog shit. They looked like a super pixelated fucking lightsaber. And two, it also broke our custom NVGs because as Liru mentioned, Ace does night vision goggles, and RHS has theirs and stuff like that. We have our own kind of custom scripted ones. That's why you'll see like some of our MVGs are full screen instead of like the oval. That's our custom shit that we have put on there. Same with like some of ours, you'll see that there's no grain to them. It's perfectly clear. Again, that's our custom stuff. And that is where kind of like we somewhat break from the realism, but a lot of guys still use the regular NVGs, the oval with the grainy shit. I personally don't use them. I use the full screen, no grain NVGs because it looks better on video, obviously. So, it's all personal preference. I know for myself, while enhanced movement is very cool, TFAR, absolutely. Like, we personally here at the 506, like, we couldn't really do what we do without TFAR or Acre. And I know Acre was updated fairly recently, but I never checked it out. A good buddy of mine, Coke, was checking it out and said it was really cool, some of the stuff that you could do, but we've stuck with TFAR just because it's what we know and it works. For me, I would say the one mod that kind of makes everything or enhances everything would have to be Ares and all of those additions via Ares. And I know that's obviously something that you use a lot with how much Zeusing you do. I use it quite a bit. Obviously, all of our Zeus operators use it a lot. But yeah, I think without Ares, we wouldn't be able to have as good missions as we do. Obviously, you can still do good missions with just the normal Zeus. But all of the additions that Ares brings into it is really fucking impressive.
You mean Achilles with it, Ares, right?
Yeah, sorry, Achilles. I always say Ares because that's what we call them. But
the
yes.
First one.
So to me, that really what adds the bulk of it. And yes, Tootie, we are going to be finding out who's getting the pizza today. And if you look at my goal, there's a pretty good fucking hint there. So Achilles, huge addition to me. That's kind of my go-to one. But for you, Liru, because you do a lot more kind of different things than we do. Guys get like really excited when we do like Halo or something like that, because it's very rare that we do different things aside from like the squirrel stuff that we do with you on Wednesday, obviously, and like the Halo or the zombie stuff that we're doing right now is popular because it's just so drastically different from what we normally do. But that being said, what is your, I guess, favorite genre of like mods like that? Because I know you do a lot with the World War II stuff, you do a lot of Vietnam stuff. We've done the Halo stuff quite a few times, and then also the zombie stuff. Now, what's kind of your favorite like all-encompassing genre of mod?
That's a really difficult question because I'm trying to think of how to articulate it, but total conversion mods are really, really fun to work with. That's your Vietnam, your Iron Front, your Star Wars, Mass Effect recently. If there was a recent Mass Effect
I need to
one
check
that came
that one out.
Cool.
Have you looked at that at all? Because I haven't gotten a chance
to. It's really, really cool. The only thing I have that's a question is they have their shotguns instead of shooting shotgun rounds. It shoots kind of like an AoE round, but other than that, it's pretty well balanced. It's mainly focused on infantry gameplay, but some of these most of the mods that do total conversion usually focus on the infantry combat. But when you get something like Halo or Iron Front or Vietnam, there's also a lot of focus on air assets as well. That really promotes the whole, scope of how to, conduct warfare. But then there's also the smaller like mods that you can add on with. For example, the Zombies mod is really, really popular. Or one that hasn't really gotten too much attention that I've done with both my community, and I even had the Munsons play around with it in an op, the nanosuits from Crysis.
Oh yeah, I remember watching one of your videos on that. Seems like a while ago now. That looked really goddamn cool.
But it literally gives you the special abilities that the nanosuits in Crysis gave you. So you can turn invisible for a bit, you can get rid of your recoil. You can turn invincible for a little bit. Just all these really cool stuffs, and you can tank a bit more damage depending on how you set your ace health system. But it's really cool because now you have the ability to literally go through an entire town as the walking apocalypse, and as long as you play it tactically, you can wipe again and again.
Right. And that's, that one I haven't messed around with it at all. Same with Mass Effect. The other ones I have, obviously Halo I have, and we had the Spartans in there, which were recently added. And I know when Optray was updated, you checked it out as well. What are your thoughts on the Optray update, with them adding in the Scorpions and the Spartans and the Elephant in there and stuff like that? What are your thoughts on it?
The Elephant was really fun to play with because it was really glitchy. But I think it was done on purpose because if people remember back in Halo 3, the Elephants, you could do some really crazy flipping with it. And then we did a Operation Trebuchet op a while back where we started doing crazy flips with the Elephant. Everyone was having a good time with it. But it's a very good addition because I know a lot of people have been asking for the Spartans to come in, and I think they came in as their own separate mod as well. But also the Scorpions, they added that ABC style unit as well. And just, again, a good addition for, a lot of these mods start by focusing on the infantry gameplay, and then they start adding in other features like tanks, APCs, aircraft, and really to build off of the mod, especially when people ask for it so much.
Yeah, definitely. And very quickly, Kerr, thank you very much, brother, for gifting that sub to Vertigo. I'm sure he appreciates that. And also Taco with the 20 spot towards Wee Woo's white fucking pizza, which actually sounds amazing if it were to add some goddamn chicken to it. But yeah, the recent update to Optray, very nice. I mean, that's one of the main reasons that we used it for our winter stand down missions, on top of the fact that we normally do. But as you guys seen in the video, we did have some Spartans out there with us Sunday. We had 2 of them. It ended up being Cherry and Yogi that were running as the Spartans. And we actually went in and modified the Spartans a little bit on the mission template. We made them basically fucking unkillable, like what you are in the game. So I didn't really get to see the Spartans in action all that much because I was commanding the infantry element, and they were kind of off on their own wrecking shit as they do. But yeah, like you said with the crisis suits, they were basically a walking fucking war. And they just mowed through stuff. I know they were having issues, like they get shot and they get dropped down to the ground like you do in ArmA, but it wouldn't knock them out. It just kept knocking them down over and over. So they were taking, 20, 30, 40 rounds and just getting knocked down to the ground nonstop. Which they said was super annoying, but still, it was the fact they never died. I don't even think either one of them ever went down. They were just smoking shit left and right. But yeah, the Optray update, very cool. Really nice having the Scorpions in there. The tanks are, that's kind of a standout of Halo, those quad tread tanks that they had in that. And we got pretty good use out of them, even though they got killed multiple times. So
you bought Brawler back.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. Right down to the fact that they were still fucking up infantry because they would fire that monster fucking 105 cannon right next to us, and the overpressure would fuck us up. So it's like it doesn't matter what the hell we do. If we work anywhere near armor, it ends up killing us. So Optray was cool. One I want to talk about, though, that I personally really enjoy, there was just some slightly annoying things in it, is the World War II stuff, the Iron Front and all of those. I personally love those because I love the World War II era. I know guys constantly bust your balls about mispronouncing some of the names and stuff, like Sturmgewehr and shit like that. But the reason I bring that up is, as I said, I really love the World War II stuff. I have, ties to the World War II stuff. My grandfather was in the 506 in World War II. The last time we played it, some of you guys may remember the video. Drum was carrying the Springfield 1903, the sniper rifle, and I was carrying the Thompson. And the Thompson, for anybody that doesn't know, is a 45 caliber, 45 ACP submachine gun. Has a 30 round stick magazine. My problem with it was the Thompson was insanely fucking loud. Like, it was, you could hear it over top of heavy machine guns and shit.
They fixed that.
Yeah, which I've heard they have fixed that since, which is very nice. My other issue was I'm not necessarily a marksman within ArmA 3. I mean, I can hit things, but I'm not a fucking snipper by any stretch of the imagination. However, with that Thompson, I was smoking guys at like 300-400 meters with iron sights with a 45 caliber submachine gun, which I wasn't a big fan of. Like, I was hitting guys easier than Drum was with a fucking magnified optic. So I don't know if that's been fixed.
That's been. Did it have recoil or did it have no recoil?
Yeah, it had recoil. It was just laser accurate. It was like there was hardly any bullet drop off, if any, which is very not right with a 45 round.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. It's either in Faces of War, which is like a Pacific War version of Iron Front, or Unsung Vietnam. They have a Thompson in there, which has been fixed by now. But it used to be it had no recoil and it fired straight for 400 meters before the bullet dropped. It was ridiculously OP and everyone kept using them. But
yeah.
The weapons that are in some of these mods, sometimes there's an update and something gets overlooked and we see some very, very funny shit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, this is not like me busting the balls of the guys that did Iron Front or whoever the fuck it was that did that specific mod. I'm a huge fan of it. It was just a weird bug that I noticed that was like, I don't like that. I don't really, want to play that anymore. And it was more so because of the sound bug, which, like I said, has since been fixed. But I know you do quite a bit of the World War II stuff, as Duty is busting your balls for calling Tigers Panthers. Which, hey, I can't fucking fault you too much. I mean, they're both fucking main battle tanks. They look pretty goddamn similar. Like, it's not like calling an MG42 an M2 Browning, which also you can't fucking pronounce.
Mm-hmm.
But and as far as the Scorpion being 90 mil, it may be supposed to be 90 mil in the game, but in ArmA it was a 105 millimeter shell. So the World War II stuff, as I said, you obviously do quite a bit of it. Not only are you a fan of it, but your community is really a fan of it. And why do you think that is? Why do you think, the World War II stuff is so attractive? Is it just because it's something different, or is it because those units, those weapons and stuff like that are just that interesting?
It's I've actually asked guys in my community about this from time to time, why it is attracted to them, and the main reason they often say is it's because how many milsim communities are out there for ArmA that work with ArmA with Ace TFAR and a big mod set, and they keep doing modern realism ops week by week. Now, how many of them do like World War II stuff every week or every other week?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of availability and who works with what. That's why I attract so many different people for so many different things. I've got people that only stay for vanilla, only stay for World War II, only stay for the fun exotic stuff we do for time to time, and then otherwise they're gone doing other stuff. But just I try to provide just a bunch of different stuff that people can come in and play, because it's hard to find a good World War II or Vietnam community, because there's only like a few that, some you might not be able to rub the right way with, but I just try to add to what's available out there.
Yeah, I would agree. It's the variety in it, and obviously you guys have a lot more variety than what we normally do, because we are one of those big units that uses TFAR and a huge mod pack. That's what we do. But as you said, there's a handful of communities out there that do the World War II stuff exclusively, or do the Vietnam stuff exclusively,
Mm-hmm.
but there's very few that do all of them, which is what you guys do, and you do it all fairly regularly. I know, especially the World War II and the Vietnam stuff, you guys do, what is it, weekly or bi-weekly? Because I know
Weekly.
it's fairly common. Weekly, okay. And the Vietnam stuff, to take a quick minute to talk about that, again, another one I really enjoy, with exception that majority of the time you go onto a Vietnam map, the foliage is so fucking thick, it's kind of a flip of the coin whether the AI is going to be able to shoot you through the trees or not. But I still really enjoy the Vietnam stuff. I know one of them that I did a while back, like the fucking helicopters actually had like a radio in them and would play like Vietnam era music and shit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was fucking awesome. We were flying into the AO and a Huey, and here's fucking, like Jimi Hendrix or something playing on the radio, and it was so fucking immersive and so cool. I'm walking around with an M16 that's got a 203 on the bottom of it. Like it was absolutely badass. I had a great time in that operation. And as I said, I know you guys do it a lot, do the Vietnam stuff a lot. And what is it you enjoy about that one? Is it kind of the same, that it's just a variation, or is there anything special about the Vietnam mod that you really enjoy?
We actually started Vietnam because my grandfather, who served in Vietnam as a forward observer for an artillery crew, passed away. So I made a whole campaign to kind of honor his war stories. And from there, it just got so popular that we just kept it running ever since. I think our record is still on for modded operations. We had 45 or 48 people on a mission at once, and it was this huge convoy defense, and it was just an absolute Charlie Foxtrot, but it was still enjoyable for them. But it's just people really like that one. It's all because we started off as an experiment. Iron Front, we also started off as an experiment. We also, tried Star Wars, all this other stuff, but it's just what my player base likes, and from there we just keep it going. But I also like Vietnam because it has a very, very big variety of aircraft, especially on the
Mm-hmm.
U.S. side. And they recently added MiGs, so now there can be some OPFOR and U.S. dogfighting in the skies.
Oh,
And
nice.
there's just so much cool stuff with it. And from there you can just make a lot of cool missions and keep the variety going. Also, the map we use, I don't know why, but it keeps changing different locations on it like every month or so. Like it takes a few square kilometers and completely redoes it. So we've never changed the map
Oh,
ever.
very
Like
nice.
except for maybe one or two times where we were trying unsun maps, but like it does not get boring because they keep just changing the damn thing. Less work
Yeah,
for me.
and you mentioned, the air assets, and I mean, any of you guys that watch my stuff know, obviously I'm an infantry guy. I'm always on the ground. I don't fly shit because I can't fucking fly an ArmA. But in actuality, I'm a fucking total airplane nerd. Not quite at the level of Soto, but to me, like them putting the MiGs in there and stuff like that's fucking awesome. Because I still to this day think that the MiG and the Sabre are two of the most beautiful fucking aircraft that have ever been made. So that's really cool that they've added those in there. And I know they also have the Cobra gunships. They've got Huey gunships in there. They've got the old Chinooks, not the new ones, the old school fucking Chinooks. Yeah, so that's really cool that they've been adding all of that stuff in there. And that they're just constantly updating it, much like with Iron Front and also with Halo or Optray. Those guys are constantly staying on top of that and updating it. And I know as far as like Optray, like we know the developers of Optray. They've actually done one of the Halo missions with us. I think it was last year or maybe the year before. The guys that actually make the Optray mod came in and did the
Nice.
Halo mission with us, and they had a fucking blast. There was, I think, 4 or 5 of them, and they rolled around with me and Drum and Hammer and the guys, and we were basically like, the special forces that night. And those guys had an absolute fucking blast. Like, they were blown away that, we take like 60 guys and throw them in a server and get shit done. And that's
I got the unsun guys on speed dial. Like, if I have an issue, I just message them on Twitter and they get right back to me.
nice.
We just trade change logs and everything. Because recently the TAC Ops DLC broke something in Unsun and caused these massive memory leaks. So I had an op where we literally tested a bunch of stuff and ended up finding out that it was the turrets, all this other stuff that needed fixing. Because when ArmA updates, mods break. That's the slogan.
Yeah, exactly. And that, and very quickly you had pointed out that your guys' biggest operation was a Vietnam mission, right?
Yeah, it was a while ago, but we just had an influx of people, and they all decided to show up, and I wasn't even prepared for that many, but we made it work, and it was chaotically fun.
It was like you were Zeusing for one of ours. Now you almost know how one of our Zeus operators feel. It is absolute fucking chaos, and you want to rip your hair out by the end. That's why, for anyone that doesn't understand, like, that's kind of why we do this as far as the 506, why we do the large scale stuff, because it's a completely different feeling when, yes, it is very fun when you can take you and 9 of your buddies and go into an operation like we do on Wednesdays with the squirrel stuff. Very fun to do that. It's a completely different realm when you take you and 50 to 60 of your buddies and go into a server. And it can be a total fucking clusterfuck, like Liru said, which is a lot of the time, or B, when it goes off smoothly and every fucking cog in that machine is turning well and you pull it off, it's like nothing else. Like, I cannot stress enough how awesome it is when you can go in with a full fucking task force of 60 guys and do it right. It's so goddamn fun. But the other one I want to talk about that you kind of brought up real quickly was the Star Wars stuff, because I haven't done anything with the Star Wars stuff. I know a couple of the guys in our unit had some fun ops with it. What are your thoughts on the Star Wars mod? Because I haven't checked it out at all.
It's had an interesting story, to say the least, with all the DMCA stuff going around on Steam and whatnot, which has made it a bit harder to access to the average person. But I'd say if you can, like, they have a website where they offer it for you to download. If you can check it out, by all means. I know there's a group, the 501st, who they modeled themselves off of a clone trooper legion that Anakin led in the frickin', Episode 3 stuff, Clone Wars and whatnot. But it's also a very well done mod, and it really fits well with how Star Wars Battlefront would be done in ArmA 3. And it's a little lacking on the vehicle side of things, that, again, focusing first on the infantry combat, but you can definitely role play any faction, from the droids to the clone troopers to stormtroopers to rebels, and they've got all these custom rebel skins too, so you can be an alien if you want to, and it's a lot of fun. You can even be Darth Vader or Darth Sidious and fire lightning at people. You can use personal shield generators that make a bubble around you and your friends, and you can fight off people. One of my favorite moments of Star Wars is when we first did a practice op with it. That first, we were basically as rebels on Jakku, hiding in a ship. And the first time after they all killed themselves to a frickin' misthrown grenade because it was a concealed space, but when that ramp finally opened and everyone charged out, it was a crazy huzzah to watch, and it was a lot of fun.
Very nice. And I would imagine the vehicles for that would be incredibly hard to do, because you got like the scooter bikes and shit like that. Like, I would not want any part of trying to bring that shit into ArmA, and even if it is brought in, it's probably gonna end up being buggy as fuck. And Tootie, I don't know if TSB specializes in clusterfucks. I think everybody specializes in clusterfucks. It's just the rare occasion that we pull it off correctly. And I would agree that the Spitfire is kind of the more pretty when it comes to the P-51 and the Spitfire, but in actuality, the P-51 is just a Spitfire. It's just been Americanized with more guns, as per usual. So Star Wars is pretty cool, mostly focusing on infantry combat, and as you said, as you brought up the 501st, I have watched a few videos from those guys. Very cool. They're essentially doing exactly what we do in ArmA, just it's with Star Wars stuff instead of modern day army. But very, very cool for sure. And I would recommend, just do a quick search on YouTube for 501st ArmA or something, and videos will pop up, and check them out if you're interested in that Star Wars mod. As Wee said, there's a website where you can get a hold of it, because you can't get it on Steam anymore, and that's kind of a shitty situation as to the whole Steam and, the takedown and all of that. Did you ever hear any kind of background on that, or did you have any other info from one of your contacts as to what was going on with that?
To boil it down, because there was a lot of confusion, because there was a previous Star Wars mod. There were rumors that Disney was going crazy because they recently DMC'd another game. It basically comes down to there's a few assets from a different mod from ArmA 2 that are in those, and the creator of that mod apparently DMCA'd it. But that's what I heard. Most people don't know. There's only a few people that actually know. But at this rate, who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
in all honesty,
it's still out there. You can still get your hands on it if you really fucking want to. So it's not like it's just gone. You can definitely still get a hold of it if you really want to. So out of Star Wars, Iron Front, Unsung, and Optray, what's your go-to one? What's kind of the one that you like playing the most?
God, you're hurting me with these questions, man. I don't really have a favorite. I like them all because they all have their specific purpose. Like, if I want to be futuristic and mess with a bunch of heavy calibers that fuck with Ace, then I'll pick Optray. If I want to see a bunch of World War II planes dogfight while my player base creams a bunch of King Tigers with freaking T-34s, we'll do Iron Front. If we want to go crazy and napalm everything, we'll do Vietnam. I mean, that's also kind of the reason why I've refused to just have things bi-weekly, or we, only do one on one day, and then on that same day we'll have it for the next week be something different. We used to have that system, but it doesn't work because I just like to work with all of them, to be perfectly honest. It's fun.
Right, so there's too much downtime if you were to, like rotate them through. It works better to just do each one every week. Well, I mean, that was more so what one was your favorite to play. Now, do you have a favorite one to Zeus for?
You're hitting me with the hard questions, man. I don't appreciate it.
Come on now, you've been here, you've done this.
I don't know. I like Zeusing for all of them. I'd say, I guess the one that gives me the least amount of stress would actually, no, I don't even know.
Okay, well, we'll rephrase. Which one is the least pain in the ass to Zeus for?
Probably Unsung, because that's the one that the player base usually succeeds with. At least recently.
Well, how about...
Let's go with that.
How's this? Have you noticed any difference between the AI within those conversion mods? Is there any of them where the AI work a little bit better? Because we obviously know the AI fucking sucks. Like, that's the most broken thing about ArmA. It's not mods, it's not anything. It's the fucking base AI is the most broken goddamn thing about the game. So none of them you've noticed the AI works a little bit better?
Honestly, Unsung, they have a little bit of better AI pathing for boats, but that's really it. But, like, you can load up Optray, put up a Hornet, and the Hornet, if the mountain's tall enough, it's going to crash into it. Same with a biplane from Unsung. Same with a frickin' Air Cobra from the USSR and Iron Front. The base AI is really trash. Let's be honest.
They have biplanes in Unsung?
Yeah, they added them. They have MiGs and biplanes for the NVA, and the biplanes can drop FABs and shit. It's great.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I've had fun.
So we've gone over the total conversion mods, the stuff like that. What about gear mods like RHS and Trick and stuff like that? Which one do you think is the best as far as like the gear mods?
Honestly, based on working with Cup, RHS, Trick, a few other miscellaneous ones for different operations and scenarios, I really like RHS. I just wish that RHS had all of its actual content unhidden, because RHS, we only have about 3/5 of what's actually there, because RHS, they have Tungustas, but they're hidden. They have a bunch of other assets, but they're hidden, because some developers that worked on them don't want them released yet to the public. But once it's all finally put out, I believe that it will be the best one, because otherwise you got to dip into places like Cup for your Tungustas, or the USAF if you want something like an AC-130. But other than your typical go-to, some of the ones I like to play with, again, I already mentioned the nanosuit stuff, but have you ever played with the HMCS mod that adds the mechs?
No, I've seen the mechs on one of yours, that fucking video where they wanted to take the pink BMP, and then I seen that you had a big mech there, but I've personally never messed with them.
They're fun to play with. They're a bit invincible, but if you know how to take them out right, they can die to 2
fucking
javelins.
mech. It's supposed to be. You're not gonna take down a mech with a fucking RPG. And I would agree. RHS is definitely kind of the all around. It adds so much shit. I mean, we definitely couldn't do the 506 stuff without RHS, because 99% of the stuff we use is from RHS as far as the gear, weapons, all of that. And we also use Trick for the Wednesday stuff, for the squirrel shit. We also used SMA for a while, the SMA weapons pack, which any of you guys that haven't checked that out, fucking great weapon pack. A lot of really good weapons in there. However, with how much RHS has been updating and adding, as well as even just vanilla ArmA, all the shit that they've been adding, SMA is almost redundant at this point. Like, there's a few weapons that are in SMA that aren't in RHS or vanilla ArmA, but they're really nothing special, because just from RHS and SMA, you have all of your 5.56 ARs, you have your 7.62s, you have your machine guns. There's only a very small handful of weapons that are missing from all of them. But as far as like SMA, do you think SMA right now is really worth downloading, or do you think it's better to just like stick with RHS and shit?
I'm gonna be honest, I've never tried SMA, but
No?
I've had some mods in my mod pack that I've had to swap out because they just become so redundant that there's no point in using them. But there is actually one equipment mod, or two, I should say, that I also really liked working with. The first one was the 3CB, the British conversion stuff.
Oh yeah.
That was really cool, because that also adds a bunch of backpacks that are integrated with TFAR, so they're like super like Bergen backpacks, but they also have a long range, so you can have a guy bring in a bunch of equipment and still communicate with someone like JTAC. And the other one, which unfortunately you can't find anymore because it got DMCA'd, but it was the original kick-ass weapons pack, because it added some really cool, it added all your standard stuff. It added some really nice scars. It added some good M4s, added some good Russian weapons, added VSSs, the works. But it also added miniguns, swords, Excalibur, futuristic guns that shot frickin' 3-round 40 Mike, like an XM25, I think is what it's called. And like some really big sniper rifles, anti-tank rifles, all this really cool stuff. I still have a cache copy of it on my server, and I'm going to use it for my next April Fool's Op, but really, really fun weapons mod. We actually have a record in TSB for the longest team kill ever in terms of distance, was from the outskirts of the Chernobyl zone map to the center of Chernobyl. And it was done by Christopher with a minigun which it was an HE round. I don't know how, but it cut right through the street. It went through about 3 kilometers of distance, and it schwacked a different guy in the face, in the back of the head, and
Jesus.
just dropped like a stone. And I was laughing my ass off. That was the last April Fool's up.
And you mentioned the anti-tank guns. Like, that would be really cool for the Iron Front stuff to have.
Iron Front has
some
them
of the,
too.
Oh, do they? Okay,
Yeah, they have a
that's
few.
cool. Last time I seen it, I don't think they had them then. But yeah, that's really cool to have the AT guns for like Russian troops and stuff. That would be really fucking fun to play with, and also shoot a person and see what happens. Especially with a mod that I've seen you use, we've never personally used.
Bloodlust?
But yeah, exactly. Bloodlust. Because I remember watching one of your guys' Iron Front ops where they were trying to take a bridge. And I remember their tanks and stuff on the other side, and that's when guys were having a huge fucking debate about Firefly, Shermans and stuff. And I remember them trying to bomb the bridge at one point, and they missed horribly. So yeah, you know which one I'm talking about. But anyways, I remember watching a guy take a fucking Firefly round straight to the face. And just exploded in a pile of goo.
It evaporates.
And I laughed like a little bitch for a solid 2 minutes, just rolling, because that dude just took a tank shot to the face and exploded. And I loved that. Like, it was so cool. And we personally wouldn't use it just for like because we don't do like instant death. We give guys a chance to get back in there. And a lot of guys like bitch about that. They're like, you guys are a fucking realism unit, but you let people respawn and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but you also have to think, like, we do one operation. Yeah, it's a game. We do it for fun, and we do one operation every 2 weeks for these guys. That's their only required operation. So technically, they only play every other week unless they fill in with guys. So can you imagine how shitty it would be to wait 2 weeks, get into an operation, get blown the fuck up in the first fucking 5 minutes, and now you're done for another 2 weeks? We wouldn't have a community of a couple hundred people. I can guarantee you that. But yeah, Bloodlust is still very cool. Like, it's fun to watch. It wouldn't be fun to be in it, but it's fun to watch.
I should also say, since we stopped using Bloodlust, they added a lot more features to it in terms of, like, you can set how much damage someone can take till they explode or whatnot. Like, you can change it so grenades don't insta-kill you like that. It's only, like, really big rounds. But I think you can also set it so it only affects AI and not players. But they've added a lot to its interface. So I don't know if Soto might want to tinker with that, but you could potentially add it just for the AI, because that would be satisfying. It was satisfying to like put a tank round through a guy and just watch him evaporate.
Oh yeah, believe me, it would be beyond fun to hit somebody in the chest with my thumper and just watch them explode. And very quickly, Assault, thank you for that 6-month resub, halfway to a year indeed. So gear mods, like I said, SMA kind of redundant at this point. However, there is one set of weapon systems that we have been fucking dying for, and we just cannot get, and that is a MiniMe or a 240 Lima, which is kind of a little shorty 7.62 machine gun. Which, if you guys have never seen it, trying to think of a movie in which somebody carried one. I can't really think of one off the top of my head. I know that fucking dog shit show Navy SEALs, the guy had one in the start of it, the dude sitting in the middle of the boat. But essentially, think of a saw, but with 7.62 instead of 5.56.
Yeah.
And we want one of those so fucking bad, and we can't get a hold of one. And I don't know of any goddamn weapons mod that has a 240 Lima or just the MiniMe. I have yet to see one. Have you ever seen one?
I don't know, but I'm asking my mod correspondent if he has right now.
Oh, Tootie's saying the 3CB adds the MiniMe.
Oh, it did?
I didn't even know Brits used it. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we wouldn't download a whole fucking Brit pack just for one rifle. Well, maybe we would.
Rip the PBO.
Yeah, true. It just depends on depends on how desperate Drum is for it. So, you know, going over those mods, what we like and so on. I know somebody had just mentioned in chat that Cup was just updated, which fucking great. I'm sure Soda will be happy about that one.
Cup, Ace, all our core mods. Yay.
And you mentioned earlier, you know, when ArmA updates, mods break. Well, also when other mods update, mods break. Which is why, you know, when you first hopped into TeamSpeak here, you had mentioned that you guys just did an operation an hour ago, basically. And Ace updated. You said it was a fucking nightmare. There was a lot of problems.
Right before we started the op, 30 minutes before, I got a message saying, "Hey, just warn you, Ace, AceX, all the RHS compatibilities for Ace updated." And we're like, fuck.
Jesus. And for those of you guys that don't know, in our unit in the 506, we don't update any mods until we have fully tested everything and make sure it's not broken. So there's times where we'll be a month or a couple months behind in updates just because shit breaks. So we stick with the older version because we know it works. Now, as I said, Ace updated, a bunch of other shit updated. Liru, what did they fucking break this time?
So Ace now has much more realistic night vision. So you need a little light source or an IR grenade on your shoulder in order to be able to actually see with NVGs now. They added some new equipment such as fortification tools. I don't know what they do yet, but, you know, it's something. And there was... What was the other thing I told you? I already forgot.
I think they broke the stamina, I think you said?
Oh, yeah, and then... I don't know why, but the stamina settings we used broke, so I gotta now fix that for all of our damn templates, so... Yay!
Yeah, and so that stuff really, I mean, as far as those updates, really don't mean dick all to us, because all of that stuff is custom for us anyways. Like, we've modified Ace for, like I was saying, our NVGs earlier. Same with our stamina system is completely different than the stock Ace. So all of that stuff really doesn't have an impact at all on us, so we really have no reason to fucking update anyways. Now with Cup updating, again, I had no idea any of this stuff updated, so I have no idea what they changed with Cup, because, you know, I don't get involved in any of it until Soto posts on the forums, hey, update your shit. But, as we said, when ArmA updates or other mods update, it breaks shit. So, that's why we don't update any of our stuff. We've learned our lesson over years of fucking doing this. But for you, what is kind of the one that when it updates, you just like fucking shake your head like, dear God, here we fucking go again? Like, what's that one mod that's like, just stop fucking with it?
Ace is definitely the big one, because they always do something of a major change. One that also I'm that way on, even though it's usually not negative, is the map we use for Nam, which is the one that I think 7th Cal Vietnam mainly uses and operates with. But as I might have said earlier, they just constantly keep changing parts of the map and completely making new areas, which is why we've never actually changed that map from what it is. But if you have it, for example, what pisses me off is if you have a template made for a mission and then that map updates and it like changes the area, like it changed the type of runway and I didn't notice in time. So when we all spawned in, all the planes blew up and we're like, oh, well, that's cute.
Yeah, there goes fucking 3 hours in the editor
of my life.
But yeah, I would have to agree. Like, anytime Ace updates, it's like, just fuck off, man. Like, it was working before. Leave it the fuck alone. Like, stop tinkering with shit.
Let it be.
And yeah, so 2D said in Ace now it's harder to cook off tanks. Now you're more likely to get a mobility kill rather than a catastrophic. That is fucking cool. Like, thank Christ for that. Okay, so it's worth updating just for that. The stamina and all that shit, I don't give a fuck. We changed that anyways. But, I mean, even the cook-off, we can... Soto said he could go in and change the cook-off and, you know, how often they cook off and all of that stuff and how long they cook off for. But that's cool that you're more likely to get mobility kills and stuff like that, which makes it much more important as far as where you're hitting the piece of armor and what you're hitting it with, which is cool because that's something we go over. You know, that's stuff that I teach guys in OSUT, which majority of the time in actuality, most armor, it doesn't fucking matter where you hit it. If you hit it with a big enough round, it's gonna cook off no matter where you hit it.
The way ArmA works.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter if you hit it in the tracks or if you hit it in the top plate, it's still gonna fucking blow up. But that's very, very cool that they actually make it so you can get a mobility hit more likely now. So Ace is the one we always dread updating or getting updates for. What to you is kind of that, what's like your least favorite mod that you use on a regular basis, but you wish you didn't have to? Wee Woo is thinking. He's like, wait a minute. What mods do I use? Well, okay.
I mean, I've condensed the mod set to a way where we've gotten rid of all the useless mods. I still have people asking me to re-add this or that, but it was more of a hassle to work with than itself. Like, you know, adding a mod that just adds a few weapons, like, what's the point of that if it's only to appease a few people? But, I guess, like, towards the beginning when we were starting stuff off, it was probably Ace, which gives Ace a few additional features, like being able to set up a system where you can have first-person locked for view, but when you get in vehicles, it'll allow for third-person, because that was an easier option than just scripting all that in. But when we first started working with it, it was causing some of the weirdest fucking errors I have ever seen on a server. And it like, we literally had to gut the mod set twice to even figure out it was Ace doing it in the first place.
Well, what I was going to say, I was going to kind of rephrase it, I guess, to what's the mod that you currently have to use that you wish was just in the game, that you didn't have to go download a fucking 5 gig mod to use this feature. It should automatically already be in the game.
Enhanced movement.
Exactly. That was the exact one I was going to say as well. Like, fucking enhanced movement. Like, yes, there already is, you know, the vault feature or whatever, where you can hop over a wall that's as tall as your kneecap, and that's about it. But even then, 90% of the time, it doesn't work.
You're running through a firefight. Oh, here, let me just slowly crawl over this wall. That's the frickin' vanilla feature.
Yeah.
Getting shot at.
Yeah, so exactly, like, enhanced movement should already be in the fucking game. Like, I should be able to move up to a 6-foot fucking wall and climb over it, or get a boost from my buddy. Like, why the fuck is that not in the base game? So, yeah, I absolutely have to agree with that one. The other one, I would have to not necessarily say, like, everything should be in the base game, but why... I assume it's because of licensing, but why do we have to go download fucking 5 or 4 versions of RHS to have all these modern day units? Like, everything in ArmA is basically like futuristic weapons and stuff.
It's licensing.
Yeah, it's licensing. That's what I assumed, but it's still like, okay, what the fuck?
Yep.
So that kind of, I guess, is going to wrap up our mod discussion. Again, obviously, neither, you know, our community or your community can do this without mods. I mean, you guys do vanilla ArmA here and there. I personally, I absolutely fucking loathe vanilla ArmA. I've played it once, and that was in the loot op, and maybe that's why I loathe it that much more. But I fucking hate vanilla ArmA. It's garbage. But it also may be because of the fact that I've only ever played modded ArmA, with the exception to that one time. Like, I've never had a chance to really get used to it or anything. What about you? Do you actually enjoy vanilla ArmA at all?
I think the only reason I enjoy vanilla ArmA is because that's the thing where we get a constant 60 person on the server every Friday, and we just kind of have people zerg rush through operations. But as a Zeus, it also really challenges me to make something unique instead of, your standard, all right, go to this vanilla area that we've, played on the map literally for years and go do something. But, with the addition of those environment tools, it allows me to change things up. But vanilla, it does give you that interesting challenge of, you're limited to this, and this, make it work. And that's actually a lot like realistic military sometimes. You're only given these assets to do this because you're in a strenuous situation. Make it work. And sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. But that's the fun of it.
Yeah. And Luke, as far as video of that, I personally don't have a video of the loot knob. I don't think I was doing videos back then. I know Drum has one.
Drum has it. It was it was fun.
Yeah.
Sarcasm.
You have a different idea of fun. But yeah, it was an absolute fucking shit show. And real quick, you mentioned the Friday op. You get, your 60 plus people in there during those for the vanilla ops, and those are your public ops. Anybody that's is it tier 0? That's how they kind of get introduced into the community, is by doing the public ops, right?
They're put as a T- symbol, and then if they get through it, they can become a tier 0, and that's still kind of a prohibition rank before they start doing trainings for mods. But a lot of people stay in that tier because they just prefer vanilla to mods and stuff. So. And just going on the concept of I try to offer something for everybody. Right.
And if anybody watching right now, like if they want to get involved in that, if they want to do a public Friday op, how would they go about doing that?
Every Friday, and I don't even delete these videos I release, but every Friday I release a video that basically it talks. The first bit is just talking about recruitment, how to join in on the op or how to join the community, and then the rest is just announcements. And yeah, I've been putting that out for at least a year now, and I have them all in a playlist too, and it's the same exact spiel, but you got to be 18 or older. That's it.
And CG, to answer your question, yes, we will be doing a squirrel op here later on after the podcast.
I'm prepping it right now.
Oh, see, there you go. He is figuring out his ways to kill us as we speak.
I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Giving all the guys hazmat suits.
And so, like you said, Friday, you release a video, let guys know how to get into the public ops. So if you guys already have WeWoo subscribed, or if you don't, go fucking subscribe to them on YouTube's. And, keep your eyes open on Friday afternoon for that video to be posted, and it'll tell you how to get in there and how to get involved in those public operations. Which I've watched a lot of. Like it's a lot of fun to watch. I don't know about being, because I would probably be yelling and screaming at people nonstop.
That's what my commanders say. Usually it turns into a shouting match with your squad leads that don't want to do what you say.
Yeah, it would probably be a lot like the operation that you're looking at now, which was the op tray, which was just a gigantic headache for me, which is why as soon as it was done, I told Drum, you're fucking commanding next week. And I'm going to be Zeusing. So Sunday, I'm going to be Zeusing the Halo operation, and Drum's going to be the task force commander.
Do you want to go, Zeus?
Possibly. We'll have to check into that. What do you guys think in chat? You think me and WeWoo should Zeus together for a Halo operation? I don't know. I don't think the guys in chat want to see that at all. I don't think they want to see us Zeus together. It would be probably kind of boring. Honestly.
Yeah, it would probably suck.
Yeah, probably. Mostly because you're involved.
Yeah.
So the next thing I want to get into, I don't know. See, everybody's saying yes, but I'm not sure if they're genuinely saying yes. I don't think.
I think it's all really sarcasm. The slash probably. S at the end. They're like, yeah, of course it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Here we go again. Actually, it wouldn't even be again. We've never Zeus together, have we?
Never.
Oh, look at that. Both of us Zeus well, I don't Zeus near as much as I used to, but yeah, we've never Zeus together. I know I've Zeused for you, or not technically for you. I've Zeused a couple of the squirrel ops that you were in, or maybe it was just the one.
It was just the one in the Chernobyl zone winter. That was fun.
Yeah, with all the fog and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
You're so ugly you
so
can be a modern
the next thing I want to get into, and And Taco with the 5 spot says, for the Halo goats. Oh, dear God.
No. So they're gonna have Spartans, and we're the rebels, right? So we can put some helmets on some goats and give them some battle rifles and just send them in.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We can make some cavalry. I can
Insurrectionist
fuse some
goats.
units. We can make cavalry, man. I can put the guys on the goats and they can charge in. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be
God,
great.
it'll be like fucking The Hobbit, the Battle of the 5 Armies with the fucking battle pig.
We can do battle pigs too.
Oh, Jesus, no. God, no.
Battle sheep, battle chickens. We can put Sergeant Fluffers in. Give a bunny a sniper rifle. Perfect.
We may have a special appearance from Sergeant Fluffers. We'll see.
You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece.
Awesome.
In Assault, with the 556 says, he can already see me killing all of his goats. Yes, I kill all of his goats anyways. Anytime he adds goats in and I'm in the server, I kill them. So the next part I want to talk about is a news story that kind of broke, if you will, last week. And that was the situation going on with Cloud Imperium Games right now, which, if you guys don't know, Cloud Imperium Games, or CIG, are the developers of Star Citizen, which is a game I've talked about on a couple of podcasts. I'm a big fan of it when I get to actually play it, and I'm really looking forward to it. That being said, last week, Crytek, which are the guys that make the Cry engine, which is what Star Citizen is built from, issued papers in a lawsuit against Cloud Imperium Games. Now, their basis for this lawsuit is that Cloud Imperium Games has broken their contract agreement with Crytek. Now, they're stating that within the contract, CIG agreed to use only the Cry engine to develop the game. They agreed to release or to be in contact with Cry as far as bug fixes for said engine, and that they would only use the engine for a single game. Now, those 3 points, only using the Cry engine for a single game, they're saying they broke the contract agreement because not only is there Star Citizen, but there is also Squadron 42, which right now is technically being sold as a package deal. You can get both Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. I think the cheapest you can get it is like $60, so like normal game price. But they are technically 2 different games. Squadron 42 is a single-player game, as to where Star Citizen is the MMO Persistent Universe gig that everybody's, really excited about. But they are technically 2 different games. They're labeled completely differently. I can almost understand that, because they are being sold separately. You can buy just Squadron 42, or you can buy just Star Citizen, or you can buy them both together. So they are technically 2 different games. They're not just one package. It's not just Star Citizen, where you have the single-player campaign and the MMO version. Which may be their workaround. CIG may have to say, okay, well, now it's all just Star Citizen. We're going to roll Squadron 42 into Star Citizen and make it just one game. That may be what they have to do with that. Now, as far as using only the Cry engine to develop the game, last year, I believe it was like August of last year, CIG switched over to the Lumberyard engine, which is made by Amazon, because Amazon doesn't have enough fucking money, apparently. So, and the Lumberyard engine is based on the Cry engine, but it is not technically the Cry engine. It is a completely different game engine. So Crytek is saying they also breached contract there, that they're now using Lumberyard instead of Cry engine. It doesn't matter that it's based on Cry. It's not the base Cry engine itself, so they breached their contract there. Lastly, the bullshit about bug fixes and They accidentally displayed some of the code during one of their weekly bug smasher videos or some shit. I'm not, real positive about that shit. I don't really care. It's more so the other two hang-ups of it being two separate games and that they're using a separate engine. And Liru, I know you don't really follow Star Citizen all that closely, but what are your thoughts as far as them being two different games, even though it's being developed at the exact same time, using all the same assets and everything? Would you consider, based upon what I've said, would you consider Squadron 42 a separate game from Star Citizen, or do you look at them as one and the same?
Well, are they being sold as separate games? Is that how they're being advertised in the
Yep.
bundle? Then, by definition, yes, it's separate. But as I saw CG put in the chat, there's way too much money to be made here by both sides. I think this is just probably the guys who make Cry engines attempt to probably get a bigger slice of the pie for what Star Citizen could make, and that's why this lawsuit's going on. But this will probably be settled by some money being sent, and then this all going away, because Star Citizen it's a
Massive.
big project going on. Yeah, like there's a lot of room to make a lot of money here, and I think someone just seeing an opportunity to be greedy and going for it. But
yeah, and as you said, there's a lot of money to be made there. I mean, Star Citizen has the distinction of being the largest crowdfunded resource ever at $170 plus million. And as you said, a lot of money to be made. Now, I was told, and I'm not real sure about this, those of you in chat may know better, but at some point, Crytek actually filed for bankruptcy. The company went under, and they filed for bankruptcy. And that, people are assuming that is why now, all of a sudden, Crytek is coming after CIG in a lawsuit, because they're going, oh, well, we need to fucking bolster our wallet because now we're broke. Here's a quick way for us to make some bucks. Either we fucking win the lawsuit or it gets settled out of court. Either way, we make lots of fucking money, which would seem like a no-brainer.
Didn't Amazon bail them out of that one?
I'm not sure. I personally, I didn't do my research like a piece of shit.
I think so.
So, that is why, guys are assuming, like, because CIG, as I said, they switched over to the Lumberyard engine over a year ago, basically a year and a half ago. They switched over to the Lumberyard engine. So people are like, well, if they breach contract, why are you guys waiting 18 months before you finally file suit? Like, it's a little fishy, Which, yeah, whether it's, shady or not, the fact is they do still kind of have ground to stand on, that CIG did break their contractual obligation of only using that engine on one game. And also only using that engine. They switched over to Lumberyard and are not using technically the Cry engine anymore. They're using a completely different engine to develop this game. Now, obviously, I haven't seen the contract. Nobody's seen the contract, outside of the people that are involved in it, and now very soon a fucking judge. But, if that is in the contract, that they were to only use it on one game and they were to only use the Cry engine, I personally don't really see any way that CIG would get out of that without having to pay copious amounts of money, because they did break their contract. It's plain and simple. Yeah, it may be shitty of Crytek to go after them and kind of lame, but contract's a contract, and CIG did break it. And the thing that's upsetting to me isn't so much that Crytek would go after them, try to get money. Like, that's business. Of course they're going to try and get fucking money. They were in a contract with these guys. They broke it. They want their fucking money for damages and whatever other bullshit they're saying. But what's upsetting to me is that money has to come from somewhere. Where that money is coming from is what all of us have paid in to get the game fucking made. This is crowdfunded. They don't have a studio behind them. EA is not fucking bankrolling this game. We are. The players are bankrolling this game, which means all of these legal fees, any potential payout, any, out of court payout, whatever, that now comes from what we've paid to make this game happen. Which means now something's not going to get done in the game, or now, something's going to have to get pushed back and it's going to take longer because they just lost 50 million in a fucking lawsuit. Now more people have to buy the game, or it's going to take them longer to do it, or whatever. That's the most upsetting thing to me, is that money technically has to come out of our pockets, if you will. And Liru, what do you think about that? About a crowd-funded game having to pay legal fees and stuff like that?
So it's a government now?
Yeah.
But yeah, that sucks. That can really mess with the game. I hope it doesn't cause anything too bad in terms of issues, but greed, from experience in both myself and other people, greed when you're at the brink can make the ugly come out of some people. And I can kind of understand if a company is going near bankruptcy and they needed a bailout from somebody else or whatnot. They see, okay, a crowdfunded game that got, what was that number again they crowdfunded?
It's over 170 million now.
That's a big paycheck. It's a cruel thing to say, but that's something that I'd love to get a slice of that pie. And if I have a way of doing it, yeah, it's business, and you're gonna piss a lot of people off. But then again, with what we've recently seen in other areas of the government, if the paycheck is big enough, you can fuck everybody over.
Yeah. And as CG mentioned in chat, there is the possibility that the payout could come from future earnings, which I think that would be kind of the best situation, obviously, if they would start paying out after the game is released, and earnings they receive from selling the actual released game would go towards a payout towards Crytek. I think that would definitely be the kind of the best of both worlds, if you will. Crytek gets their fucking money, we still get our game within a half-assed timely manner, because it'll probably be like 2025 before we actually get to play it, or get the released version, I should say. And we also had Loster join us in here. And Loster,
Hi, Loster.
what are your thoughts on this whole Crytek CIG fucking debacle? Do you think Crytek is kind of, being the asshole and they should just let it lie, or do you, kind of understand they're going after CIG?
I think that it's like one of those things where me as a consumer, knowing nothing about like that world, that whole corporate bottom line world, like when you see the decisions that companies like this make, like the EAs of the world and the fucking Ubisofts, and like the decisions that like just seem to lack just basic humanity, it's like, well, what the fuck? But I think like Liru said, it is a business, and it's like, well, we have this opportunity here to take a bite out of this apple, and we're home free. Like, there's no real consequence to us, other than people think that we're dicks, but who cares? We're a business. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't too fond of American tobacco, but at the end of the day, they're a business and they have to. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you can protest and picket all you want, but they're still going to make their money.
Gotta make money.
I guess that's how I feel. Like, yes, it is a dick move, and I don't see the humanity in it, but I don't think this is a human decision being made. This is a machine calculated decision.
Well, like, why do you think EA keeps trying to stick microtransactions into games and loot boxes now? Because they see it's a system that works. I mean, right. The CEO of Plants vs. Zombies for PopCap Games, I believe, EA got them, and then they fired it wouldn't be a CEO, but like their lead manager or whatever, because he refused to go to the pay-to-win route when EA was telling him he's supposed to. So...
And I think other companies look at that and do it the right way. Like, I think Blizzard has a really good microtransaction system. Like the things that, well, except for, I would argue that like maybe Hearthstone is a little bit pay to win. Like, the more money you pump in, the better cards you get.
You can buy new cards.
Right, you can just keep buying more cards. Like, you're not guaranteed, because you can't buy individual cards. But the more money you pump in, the more booster packs you get. Therefore, your chances of getting really good cards is higher than someone who just grinds.
You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece.
But I think maybe like Counter-Strike is a good example of microtransactions done humanely, fairly, because it's just skins. Like, this doesn't give you any type of advantage over anybody.
It is. I think more so the argument in that situation, like with CS:GO, the argument isn't that it affects the game; it's that it affects the consumers. And there is absolutely no denying. And no way around, yes, it's the parents' fault, but there's still fucking 14, 15-year-old kids out there that are dropping mommy and daddy's money on, essentially what is a gambling addiction, and they're fucking, 15 years old. That's the argument, especially the senator from Hawaii, I can't remember his name, but he's the guy here in the U.S., like, fucking strong pointing, trying to get these microtransactions and stuff shut down. That's the point he's making. It doesn't fucking matter if it affects the game or not. It's the fact that it's developing a gambling addiction for, minors, which is a big goddamn problem.
Yeah. There's a good point that was made in chat about Siege. Someone who plays a lot of Siege, like there is sort of there's alpha packs now, which are kind of like a gambling thing where you pay and you get you get the alpha pack, but you can only, unless I'm wrong, you can only buy alpha packs with the in-game currency that you get by playing the game. It's not from the in-game currency that you get that you pay money for.
Right, you can't actually buy the currency. You have to earn it.
Right.
Which, and that to me is fine. Like, you're not actually spending fucking real world dollars to buy this currency.
Right. There is skins and headgear and charms that go on your weapon, shit that you can buy with real money, but there's no, like, it's not like a slot machine, you're not scratching a lottery ticket. You're picking up an item off the shelf and you're paying for it. Like, you're getting exactly what you paid for.
Right. And very quickly, Liquid with a $10.26 donation just doubled your YouTube earnings. Absolutely correct. And Weeboo, you weren't here last week, but that's one of the things I talked about was YouTube and why I don't really edit my videos and put all the work into YouTube that I love doing, because I love editing videos, just because it's not worth the time. And
yeah, it's not.
People were, I don't know if they were necessarily shocked, but they were surprised to learn that in like 2 years of having a YouTube channel, I've made $10 from it. So yeah, YouTube is not lucrative, especially now.
Yeah, I still get, like, I have just over 100 videos on my channel that I started, I don't know, back when I joined the 15th, so like 2013. So over the course of maybe 5 years, I want to say, maybe 2012. I still get like several thousand views a month, but it's ridiculous. I get like $1 a month, and I don't even get that money anymore.
You need like a couple 100,000 views.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's not even so much views; it's minutes watched, and it's like their algorithm. Yeah.
The main thing about it's like it's every 1,000 views gets you a penny.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's great.
And you have to do like daily uploads and or even
they
like,
stay on the treadmill and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been doing that, and honestly, ever since the adpocalypse, everything just dried up. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, a lot of people thought it was like demonetization, because a lot of people would assume like my stuff would get demonetized because of the games I play and stuff like that, which isn't the case. Like my stuff almost never gets demonetized. It's got the green little badge on it, and even when it does get demonetized, I request a review and it immediately gets turned over to normal, which is a pain in the ass in and of itself. But it's not a matter of demonetization. It's just a matter of, one, I don't have enough people fucking watching, and two, there's no goddamn ad money anymore.
Right. The YouTube, it's a treadmill now, like Liru said, and like it's on a really steep incline now. It's a lot harder now than it used to be, and it's even worse. Like for me, I already had like 80 plus videos in my library when that ad shit happened, and now I go back and half of my videos are either red as in no one's gonna fucking advertise on this video, or they're yellow, which means most advertisers are gonna stay away from this video. And it seems completely arbitrary. I have Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway videos, and that game's violent. That game has like people getting their throats cut and F-bombs and all kinds of crazy shit in that game. They're all that green. And then I have like a 30-second siege clip of a friend of mine just being goofy on a Tachanka turret. That's yellow. Apparently that's just unacceptable. Advertisers want nothing to do with that.
Well, the one that gets me is like my operation videos will never get demonetized. And any of you guys that like watch my streams often enough, you know, like my title of my stream is generally pretty similar. Like it usually, like anything with the unit will say, you know, 506 and then whatever it is after that. My operational videos never get demonetized. My OSUT videos get demonetized every single time. For some reason, YouTube does not like the term OSUT. I don't know why. I have no fucking clue. I could have fucking 506 IRRU fucking Operation Blood fucking Moon or some shit. Yeah, and it wouldn't give a fuck. But if I say 506 IRRU OSUT day 1, nope, that shit's getting fucking hit with a yellow badge. What in the fuck? Like, OSUT is the least fucking violent thing I do. And I swear even less in OSUT than what I do in normal fucking operation videos. So I don't get it at all. I don't think anybody understands it. I don't even think YouTube fucking understands it. So, yeah, I give no fucks about YouTube at this point.
What's even worse now is the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So complex of an algorithm that not even the monkeys can understand it that programmed it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Loster.
Like for me, like I went back and some of them I got when that happened, like all of a sudden I got like 6 copyright strikes, and I'm like, excuse me, these videos don't even have music in them. And what I would do is like on my Brothers in Arms videos, I would take like a little 10-second snippet of the main theme song from that game, and that would be like my little like here's my 10-second intro to this video. Here's Brothers in Arms Hell Highway, Mission 3. Right, and it's like a little 10-second clip of like the fucking snare drum from the intro, and you're like, well, nope, you can't, nope, you're gonna have to fork over some of your money to the person who created that 10-second.
Some, usually it's all.
Yeah, well, it's like fucking, so just fuck it, just make a video that has nothing at all. Just here, make your own music. I'll just play a fucking pan flute.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things I talked about last week is that, when I edit videos, like I like to put music in there, and I like to put real fucking music in there because yes, I could make my own music. I have friends that are fucking musicians. I can, edit and produce all my own shit with Fruity Loops, but that's a lot of work for a video that's going to get 2 cents over the next year. So yeah, YouTube's a fucking lost cause at this point. But something I wanted to talk about real quick is most of you guys don't know yet. I think Blaze would be the only person in here that knows because Blaze also races with me. I recently got a VR headset. That was kind of my early Christmas gift, was a Oculus Rift. And I do a lot of racing with Race Department. A couple days a week I do those races in Assetto Corsa, and the VR, I cannot speak highly enough of it. It has absolutely transformed Assetto Corsa for me. It's like a completely new game. Not only have I become a lot faster in my races, but I'm way more consistent, and it's just funner. Like, I'm able to follow a car right on its fucking bumper, and I'm smiling like a bitch the entire time because it's just so goddamn fun. So I wanted to ask you guys, what are your guys' thoughts on VR? I personally am fucking sold on it 100%. Like I said, especially for racing, I would have, if it wasn't for the fact that I use all my monitors for streaming. Like right now, every fucking monitor I have is completely full of shit. But I also used triple screens for racing, and I would take VR over triple screens any fucking day of the week, no argument whatsoever. And it's about the same goddamn price. So what are your guys' thoughts on VR? Do you think it's still too early to get into it, or are you a fan of it? Have you guys been able to use it at all?
I haven't, just because an Oculus is like fucking $400 still, or $350 or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's just not an option for me ever. Plus, I have a potato PC. So,
Yeah.
that being said, what was that game? That Onward, is that the one that's
Yeah.
like tactical? That one looks. Some of those games look really cool as shit. Also, the other one, it's really popular on YouTube. That horseshoes, hot dogs, and whatever.
Yeah, horseshoes, hot dogs, and hand grenades.
That looks really cool. The fact that you can kind of like fool around and like play with the weapons, and I have a couple of friends on my Discord that have VR, and when they're playing those games, it's a lot of fun, especially like the games that like have an emphasis on realism, where you can literally like fucking put your mag in the weapon and pull the charging handle back, and you have to clear a jam, and like you have to do all of that individually. Like I can only imagine what Tarkov would be like if it was fucking VR. But on the opposite side of that, there's a lot of oh boy, what's that game, VR Chat, where it's it's literally Second Life, but it's VR. I've never seen like I've never seen like such a community full of fucking memes and just insane horseshit in my life. Just furries and weebs walking around and anime girls and lollies. It's like, oh, where am I? What is this?
So it's basically, if you've ever watched the movie Gamer with what's his name? The dude from 300. That was a badass fucking movie, by the way. But yeah, it's basically that. What about you, Liru? Have you been able to check out VR at all?
People always seem to forget, but I am a busy, poor college student.
Oh, come
on. And
I
finally just got off from finals, and it's one of my goals to eventually try it. But for now, I haven't had such luxury. Also, 2D, go fuck yourself.
Well, you can come over to Michigan and check it out. I'll let you play with it a little bit.
Great, all over to Michigan. That's gonna be a drive.
It's worth it. I mean, granted, you could probably just go buy a VR headset for how much it would cost, but you know, it's worth it. So, I mean, at least from what you guys have seen, then, what do you think of VR? Do you think it's kind of the future of gaming, or do you think it's kind of a fad that's gonna die out like the fucking Wii did?
I think based on where it's been going, it does have a chance, because we've seen a lot of different tropes come up. One of my favorites to talk about was the Kinetic for Xbox, the whole motion capture stuff. That turned into a mess.
That was kind of the, I'm not going to say birthplace of VR, because VR has been around a lot longer than the Kinect. And those of you guys that aren't old enough to know, like, we had VR back in the fucking 90s. It just looked like dog shit. Yeah, the Kinect's definitely one of them. Yeah, Gerard Butler, that was his name. But do you think, Liru, do you think VR is here to stay at this point, or do you think it's going to fucking disappear in the next 10 years?
I think it's going to stay for a little bit, but it's really going to be about how the technology evolves over the next few years, and that's going to determine whether or not it's going to be a fad or if it's going to really go somewhere. Because I think the future of gaming is, virtual reality based stuff. It's just, do we have the technological capability to get there first? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing, as I mentioned, VR's been around for decades, but we didn't have the hardware to push it to where it needed to be to really be viable. We're just now kind of standing on the cusp of having that hardware, and I genuinely think like NVIDIA's next generation of cards are gonna truly be able to push VR to where it needs to go. And where VR is going, as far as like the next generation of headsets and stuff, upping the resolution and all of that, it's gonna be demanding. So now we're almost at in an arms race between VR and the hardware to push it, because I know even my system, i7 6700 with a 1080, it still pushes my system pretty fucking hard to run VR. And yes, I could turn some of the graphics down and stuff like that, but I still want to be able to see what the fuck I'm doing. So like it still pushes my system pretty hard. Like VR is not like, people think ArmA is fucking demanding on a computer. VR will make your computer burst into flames. So it's not something for the faint of heart, if you will. You've got to have a beast system to be able to do it. But I definitely think VR is here to stay. You know, when it first started getting popular, we seen things like horseshoes, hand grenades, and whatever. And, you know, we seen a lot of kind of, not necessarily indie games, but kind of, well, I guess they are kind of indie games. But now we're starting to see the big developers get into it. You know, Bethesda is all fucking over VR. They just did Doom for VR, which I heard actually sucks dick. But they also have Fallout 4 in VR out now, which I watched a video of the other day. It looks fucking awesome. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Fallout 4, but I really want to buy it to check it out because it looked incredibly fun. We also have Skyrim coming out in VR. I've seen GTA 5 done in VR. I don't know exactly how they did that, but I've seen it done, and it looked cool as fuck. So I definitely think it's here to stay. Now, to me, the question is already answered, but really is it worth getting into now? Or should you wait until the next generation of headsets? And at least, as I said for myself, the question's already answered. I mean, obviously, I already have a fucking headset, so it doesn't really matter. But to me, it's not worth getting into right now, except if you do play a lot of racing games or a lot of flying games, you know, like flight sims and stuff like that. If you spend a lot of time in those games, then absolutely 100%, like if you have the system capable of running it, then get a headset. Because as I said, it completely transforms it. Assetto Corsa for me is like a whole new goddamn game, and I cannot stop playing it. Actually last night, I played for 7 hours straight in Assetto Corsa.
That.
Like,
I was up till 4 in the morning, I saw you.
Yeah. I was still going, like, my wrists were fucking killing me, and so were my knees from sitting here driving that much. You know, I took like little breaks here and there to smoke a cigarette and shit like that, but still, if I didn't have VR, I would never sit there for fucking 7 hours playing Assetto Corsa. But, you know, again, that VR just transforms the game. Now, so what about you guys? If you had the system to run it, the $400 sitting in your pocket, would you guys check it out? Would you grab a headset now, or would you just say, nah, fuck it, I'll wait until the next version is out?
I would. I would just to play, honestly, just to play like Onward is a big one. There's also that one where, what are you, like a fucking, like, where it's like job simulator, where you're like behind the counter at like a 7-Eleven.
God, why would anyone want to do that?
I'm weird.
For
I play Factorio, brewer. Like that's the kind of person I am. Like I like games.
Factorio is kind of cool because you have to like engineer shit and like make all your conveyor belts, you know, go in the right directions and stuff like that. It's not, you know, someone walking in saying, "Hey, give me a pack of smokes." Like I did that for 2 years. It's not fun.
I did it for more than that. I don't know. I'm in a milsim unit. I like RP shit. It's fun.
Well, yeah, but you're not actually. I mean, is it other people that are coming into the fucking 7-Eleven or something?
It's like AI robots that come in and like ask for a hot dog, and you gotta cook the hot dog, and then they give you the money, and you gotta give them their change.
I mean, unless they have the random fucking like 3 a.m. drunk that comes in at, you know, getting nachos and shit. Like, no.
The robbers.
Can you be? Yeah, I was gonna say, can you be robbed? Like, you got a shotgun sitting under the counter or something? Because then I might get into it.
Or you could always play Roblox and work at Pizza Hut.
Oh God, no.
People will come in and order pizzas, and you gotta make the pizza.
No. But yeah, if you have the fucking disposable income to be able to grab one, and you have the system to run it, I definitely recommend it. But again, I recommend it if you spend a lot of time in driving simulators or flight simulators. As far as the other games, like, you know, Onward and stuff like that, I haven't really checked out. There is a couple of games that like come with the Rift. and there's a a shooter like it's called Robo Recall or something. You're basically just shooting robots, and it's cool, but honestly, it's too wonky for me. Like I don't like the whole aiming and stuff. It doesn't feel natural, even though you're only using one hand. And that would be the other problem with me that I've seen with a lot of VR games like Onward, is when you're using like a two-handed rifle, like an AR, it's very difficult to get the sights lined up unless you build one of those like custom PVC rigs that you see guys use for like the Vive and stuff, where it kind of looks like a rifle. That to me just completely turns me off from those games, because it's so unnatural, and you can't just instantly raise your weapon up into your shoulder and be ready to fire. It doesn't work that well. And I think that's the big drawback for VR when it comes to like shooting games and stuff like that. So I couldn't recommend it if that's what you want to get into. Granted, as I said, I have very limited experience with that, but I couldn't recommend it for like shooting games. Racing games and flight games, abso-fucking-lutely. Like there's nothing better.
If I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but I think Payday 2 is going VR now.
Yes, it is. Yep. It already is.
And what you call it? When I used to work for Geek Squad, there was a couple of people that like all they did all day was fucking Elite Dangerous VR, and they were pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
But you mentioned flight sims, so Elite Dangerous isn't necessarily a flight sim, but.
And Payday 2, like, I've seen some videos of it in VR, and it looks cool, but again, it's the same issue with the two-handed weapons. Like, it's weird and wonky to line your optic up with your actual eye. It's just fucking weird. But Elite Dangerous, yeah, that would be fucking awesome in VR. I don't own Elite Dangerous because I already have Star Citizen. That's good enough for me. But yeah, stuff like Flight Sim X and DCS and shit like that. Like, it would be cool in VR. It's a completely different world, and guys talk about like the screen door effect, where you can see like the slashes and see like individual particles and stuff like that. Yes, it is present in the Rift. I don't really notice it when I'm driving though, unless I'm on a really long straight and I have like nothing else to look at. Like any of you guys that have watched me racing or know racing, if you know the track, Spa has a very long straight called the Kemmel Straight, and there's really nothing to look at other than just direct ahead of you. And I'll notice the screen door shit there, but like when I'm going through turns and I'm right up on a car's ass, the last thing I'm paying attention to is a little fucking millimeter wide line on my fucking, in front of my face. I'm trying not to die. And I'll definitely say I never would have thought VR would feel so realistic that when I'm careening towards a wall at 200 miles an hour, I actually flinch and close my fucking eyes. Like, it's so goddamn weird. Yeah, exactly.
I think the last piece of the VR, like, it would probably be a genre that it doesn't get touched on a whole lot, but honestly, like, fucking scary games. Like, VR game, if a game can immerse you properly, like, I think Resident Evil 7 did a pretty good job of that, where it like you got your headset on, you got your fucking headphones on, it's dark, everything is dark around you, and you're just like in this world. I've seen people play that game on YouTube, and they're like terrified because like some crazy bitch is coming at them with a knife, and they actually like put their actual hands out. Like, that's how immersed that you get in this thing.
Yeah, and that's what Bezo was saying in chat there, that the VR horror stuff is super scary. And I watched any of you guys that followed Neebs Gaming on YouTube. They did a video where Simon, one of the guys on the channel, was in VR in a horror game, and it was just absolutely fucking hilarious. Like, I was laughing the entire goddamn time. Just because, one, Simon is a funny fucking dude, and two, it was a lot that same situation, to a point where he almost kind of broke himself out of the immersion and was just like at that point where he was so scared, he was like, all right, fuck you, let's do this. Like he went straight into fight mode. Like he went through his little bit of, fight or flight, and he, flight for a minute, and then it was like full on fight mode. Like, fuck you, I'm gonna, destroy you. And it was really cool to watch that transition because it was very realistic. At least I thought it was realistic. There are times where you get in those situations where you get so scared that your adrenaline fucking takes over, and then it's just rage. And it was cool to watch that VR could do that to someone. I thought it was really interesting. And if you guys don't follow Neebs Gaming on YouTube, go fucking do it, because those guys are hilarious. I watch every single goddamn video they ever put out. Now, the next question I have for you guys, what would be your ideal game in VR? Like one game that's out there right now that you could have in VR, what would it be?
That's a good question. You want to go first, Liru? Because I got to think.
It was
already
as well.
said in chat, but I think a new brand of ArmA 3 would be awesome in VR, because I could truly make some horror ops. I could truly turn realism to a whole new level, and I could make people hate playing their role.
Yeah, definitely. And as they also said, you would need fucking NASA to do it. But like performance aside, like if it just ran great, yeah, I would absolutely agree. ArmA would be where it's at. Guys would very, very fucking quickly find out how difficult it actually is to do what we do. But on the other hand, how much easier it can be as well. Like stuff like clearing a building. And I tell guys in OSUT all the time, I've had a lot of training when it comes to CQC and, actually breaching a building and shit. And it's fucking 9 billion times easier to actually do it in person than what it is in ArmA. But the other problem, really my biggest problem with VR and like the shooter games and stuff right now, is that they don't let you just walk around with the fucking thumbstick. Like, they make you teleport around. There's very few games I've seen that actually allow you to walk with the thumbsticks. You, have to point at an area and then release a button and you just teleport there. Which, to me, makes absolutely zero fucking sense, because now all of a sudden you're 20 yards away from where you were and you're all fumblefucked, like, okay, shit, where am I at? Which direction am I looking in? Shit. Like, it makes no sense, and I don't understand why they don't just let you walk around.
They're getting away from that, I think, because honestly, VR chat, the new one, like, you can walk around in that one. Funny enough, you can actually move and you're not teleporting.
Oh, okay. Loster, what about you then? What's your one game that you would love to see in VR?
All right. There's I'll make it short, but this is like a two-part answer. I'd say something. My first answer would be something like Onward. Honestly, I've always loved games like that. I don't know if you remember or not, but there was an arcade game where you had to there was the boxing one, like the VR boxing one, where you pick up the gloves and you actually had to fight. And there was cameras everywhere. There was sensor cameras all over the game that would react to how you move, so you can dodge and all that other stuff. It was kind of like Wii boxing, a earlier version of Wii boxing. But there's another game where you're a police officer and you're moving from screen to screen. It's like Lethal Enforcers, but you are in control of your character. You can duck behind cover. It was like Time Crisis, but you're not stepping on a pedal. You're actually able to move and you can blind fire and all that other stuff. That would be one example. I think Onward is probably the best example of that. And honestly, the other one, if there was a proper, I saw like a demo for it. Someone built it in a VR engine. But if you could do like a proper RTS like in VR, I think that would be really cool.
That's interesting.
To look down at the world. I think the closest that we ever got to that was that Tom Clancy game, where you're in control of divisions or squads and companies of units. I forgot what it was called, but
it's the ones they released after
Endgame?
after the Gross series. They released that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never really thought about that, but yeah, that would be really interesting. Like, granted, it's dead now, but if EA were to
Yeah.
revive CNC and put that in
And
VR,
War.
And War, yeah.
yeah, that would be really fucking interesting. And then be able to, like, move your head around, because especially now, CNC had been 3D for fucking ever. But to move your head around and look around the backside of a building, or to, move your head closer and zoom in on a building, like, yeah, that would be really fucking cool to play an RTS in VR. I've never thought about that.
Someone did it. There's a demo. I think I tried to show it to you, Brewer. I might have missed you on that opportunity to show it to you. Someone made, I think it was Red Alert 2 in VR. Like someone built it from like the ground up and put the Red Alert 2 sounds in it and the engine in it, and it's really cool. Like, there's no fog of war, so like you can see what everybody's doing, but it was more like a proof of concept. But
Right.
like you would use your hands and like rotate the world around it. It was like fucking Minority Report kind of shit. Like where you're using your hands and rotating the map, and everything's fully 3D, and it looked really awesome. And you would use your hand to like drag a box around the group of units that you want, and then tell them where to go and all of that. It was really fucking cool.
Yeah, that would definitely be very cool. And Melius with the 3-month resub, thank you very much, brother. And I think for me, God, I never thought about the RTS. That's kind of tempting now. Like, I would love ArmA in VR, but I mean, you kind of get that with Onward. But yeah, RTS would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, most of you guys don't know because I never play them on stream. But I'm a huge fan of RTS. Well, not a huge fan of RTS. I'm a huge fan of Command and Conquer because I've grown up playing that fucking game. There was one point in time me and my brother could sit there and go back and forth and name every single CNC and expansion by memory. But yeah, that would be fucking epic, man. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of the end, I guess, what I wanted to discuss about VR. As far as streams in VR, you guys are probably going to see me stream some of my races, hopefully. Again, it does push my rig pretty hard, so I may not be able to. I haven't tested it yet. The reason I haven't tested it yet was A, I was having those problems with Twitch. B, I was trying to figure out a way to actually get my chat displayed in my headset so I could still talk to you guys and still interact with you, even though I was wearing the VR headset. And thanks to Gamer Muscle, who does a lot of VR content on his YouTube channel. He does a lot of racing as well. Fucking great guy to watch. Highly recommend going and checking out his channel. Thanks to a video from him, I now know how to get chat into my VR headset so I can still read the chat while I'm racing. So I'll be testing it out over the next week or two to see whether or not I'll be able to stream and run my VR at the same time. And hopefully you guys will enjoy that. It is very cool because you guys see what I'm looking at, so if I turn my head, it turns what you guys are looking at too. The only issue is that you don't see as much as I see, because VR has a higher screen resolution than 1920 by 1080. So you guys are only seeing part of what I'm seeing. So that's kind of a downside, but it's still very cool that, when I turn my head, you guys get to, also see what I'm looking at mostly. So again, over the next couple weeks or so, I'll be testing that out and seeing whether or not it's viable, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. And if you don't, fuck off, because I enjoy it anyways. So that being said, that kind of wraps up all the topics I wanted to talk about tonight. So Weewoo, do you have any idea what that means since we're done talking about stuff tonight?
You buy me a pizza?
No, that means the stream is over. All right, good night.
Good night. All right.
All right, guys. So, as I'm sure most of you know, we have been running a raffle since October for a PC. Now, to give you guys a bit of a rundown, I did a raffle a while back for a couple of different PC parts. I gave away a 1080 video card. I gave away a keyboard, the same keyboard I have, the K70. I gave away a Corsair gaming mouse. I also gave away a HyperX Cloud 2 headset. And it was kind of me saying thanks to all of you guys, the entire community. And it was really cool. It was nice to be able to give back to you guys because you all have been so fucking supportive over the last year and helping my channel grow. And so I had the idea of, I would really like to give back to you guys for Christmas. Because despite me being an asshole, I actually really like Christmas. It's one of my favorite holidays, mostly because I get to see my family, which I have a huge family. I've got 5 brothers and a sister, like 17 nieces and nephews, and it's very rare that we all get to come together. So I love Christmas. But the other thing about Christmas for me is I never really gave a shit about getting presents. I don't really give a fuck about somebody buying me presents. And very quickly, Saucelane with 201 saying thank you for the entertainment, year of entertainment, and Lantier, thank you for supporting the channel.
That's gonna be a great pizza.
Fuck off. It would be a great pizza if you get fucking chicken on it. I mean, as I said before in another stream, cheese pizza is good as long as it's like the New York style, super thin, you fold the motherfucker in half and it's the size of a paper plate. But anyways, I love Christmas because I love being generous. And the reason for that being, story time with Uncle Wargames here. When I was a kid, my dad worked in the post office after he got out of the Army. He went to work for the U.S. Postal Service. He was a mechanic. And he worked there for almost 30 years. And one of my, strongest memories from being a kid was leading up to Christmas, usually about 2 weeks before Christmas. The post office would always let those guys work as much overtime as they possibly could, so they would have money for Christmas for their families. So I'd always remember that my dad would be gone by the time I would wake up for school, because he'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and he'd be at the shop by 4. And he wouldn't be home until 6, 7 o'clock at night. So he would work 12-hour plus day for 2 weeks straight just to make money so that us kids could have Christmas. Now, as I said, I have a big family. So, and it was a single income household. My mom was a stay-at-home mother. So he was providing Christmas presents for 6 kids, plus his wife, plus other family members and shit like that. So that memory has always stuck with me of my dad just absolutely busting his balls to make sure that we had a good Christmas. And no matter what the fuck was going on, no matter how broke we were, he always made sure we had Christmas. So that's why it's always been very, very important to me. And that's why when I did that first giveaway, I was like, you know what, I want to give back to my community for Christmas. I want to be able to give someone else that feeling of, elation during the holidays. And I got the idea of, well, I want to give away a PC that's capable of running ArmA, because more often than anything else from everybody's comment sections, the comment I see most often is, I would love to join you guys if I had the computer to run ArmA. I see that more than anything. So I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I want to give someone a PC where they can open the thing up, plug it in, and play ArmA immediately. No fucking upgrades needed, no nothing. So I went to Newegg and I started looking for a PC. I found one. It was like $1,500 for the tower, and it came with a keyboard and a mouse. And I was like, you know what? Me and Liru have 2 pretty big communities. And I know that his guys, the same as mine, are constantly saying, yeah, I'd love to join if I had the computer. So why don't I see if, WeWoo wants to get in on this with me and, potentially give back to one of his viewers. And why don't we make it a friendly competition? to see who can raise more money in this raffle. And so I went to him and was like, hey, you know, what do you think about doing a giveaway for Christmas? We'll do a, you know, basically a running total at the end. We'll draw a winner, and, you know, we'll give somebody a very Merry Christmas. And I'll take care of, you know, shipping and all of that. I have the PC sitting here next to me. And luckily, Wee-Woo was all for it.
Sure.
He was a generous little Wee-Woo. So he said yes, and the competition began. Now, those of you guys that are in the unit, in the 506, know kind of our normal bet, our go-to bet within the unit is a pizza. You want to bet somebody something, you're not betting money, nothing like that. You're betting a pizza. Whoever wins gets a pizza. So that was my go-to.
Universal currency.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody loves pizza. So I told Wee-Woo, all right, we're going to have a competition. Whoever raises more money, the other guy has to buy him a pizza. So that's what we did. And as I said, we've been running it since October. And guys have been, you know, buying tickets left and right. You know, $1 got you one ticket. And we got the PC paid for. And I ordered, well, we had the money. And I happened to go to Newegg on Black Friday because I was looking at buying a new TV. And I looked, and of course, all the big sales and shit, and I was like, oh, fuck. Well, let me look at their PCs real quick. So I checked out their PCs, and of course, they had huge sales, and I seen a different PC that was only $200 more than the one I already had picked out. Or maybe it was $300. I think it was $300, yeah, because it was $1,800. Or no, so it was $200, because the original one was like $16, and this one was $18. Anyways, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna fucking take the leap and grab this bigger one, so I can give someone an even bigger fucking Christmas present. So it went from like a $1,600 PC to what it is now, which is, you know, a GTX fucking 1080, 32 gigs of RAM, a massive fucking solid state drive, a terabyte hard drive, and then I also went ahead and grabbed a monitor that was on sale. The monitor is a 27-inch, 144 hertz, 1ms Asus monitor. It's a fucking beast monitor. Very, very nice. So, all of that said and done, whoever wins this raffle tonight is going to get what would normally be a like $2,200 tower, the mouse and keyboard that comes with it, and what would normally be like a $400 monitor. So it's probably closer to like $3,000 what this computer is worth. And I'll tell you guys, this computer is fucking nicer than what I have. And Wee-Woo, is it nicer than what you have?
It's nicer than what I have.
So there you go. So whoever wins this raffle tonight is going to have a better PC than me or Wee-Woo. And I know guys were like, why the fuck don't you just keep it and give somebody yours? I would like to, but I can't. So what we're going to do, guys, is Wee-Woo has the list of all the entries.
182.
182 participants. Well, actually, there's a little bit less than that because a couple people are in there multiple times.
Oh, yeah, dupes, right.
But he has the list of people. I'm going to draw the number, and he's going to let me know who the winner is. I'm not actually going to look at the list because I want it to be a surprise to me as well. So, Wee-Woo, do you have the list?
I do. Drum's Steam messaging me if his name's on there. Should I do something about that?
If Drum's name is on there?
Yeah.
Yes, delete it.
Delete it.
You got it.
All right. So, got the random number generator. And we click the button.
My name's on that shit, right? I donate to fucking brewer every goddamn month.
Yes. All right. We have our number. Hold on, let me... God damn it. My screen is... I have 3 goddamn monitors full of stuff. Let me get this on the actual stream for you here. All right, so here's our number. Let me pull it on the screen here. God damn it. Hopefully you guys can see that all right. Can you guys see that all right? You guys in chat?
490.
All right, so you can see it.
Yes.
All right, so 490 Weewoo. Scroll through and find the ticket of 490.
That would be this. I'll put it in chat. According to our roster.
All right, so that is Chris M. Chris M has won this fucking PC. I don't recognize the name right offhand. That may be one of Weewoo's guys. I'm not sure.
I don't either.
We'll have to go through and actually look at our list and see whose guy it is. But Chris, if you're watching, please fucking say something in chat, because, dude, you just won like a $3,000 fucking PC. Congratulations, dude. I am insanely happy for you. In the next 48 hours or so, you'll get a message from me on the forum, or on the forums. You'll get a message from me either on YouTube or Twitch. We'll have to look and see which platform you were on. But you'll get a message from either myself or Weewoo asking you for some details. We're not going to ask you for your personal information via Twitch or YouTube. I'm going to ask you for your actual email, so it's a little more secure, and you'll actually get an email from me. So make sure you also check your spam folder, because if you end up missing that email, you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass. So you'll get an email from me. It'll be from brewer151 at Yahoo. Yes, I don't care if you guys have my fucking email. But you'll get an email from me. Make sure you fucking check your spam folder. But again, I'll detail this to you in the message that either myself or Weewoo send you.
He's one of your guys.
Okay, he's one of my guys. Okay, so you'll get a message from me on, again, Twitch or YouTube, and then I'll get your email, and we'll email back and forth and get all of your, address and all of that, and I'll get this shipped out to you. Now, the thing to keep in mind, okay, shipping is very slow right now because of Christmas, obviously. So it's a good possibility that you won't get this until after Christmas. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee you won't get it until after Christmas. But that being said, you should at minimum have it by the 1st. So again, congratulations, Chris. I'm really, really happy for you. I wish he had been here. I haven't seen him say anything in chat. Have either of you seen him say anything?
Nope.
I'm pretty sure I recognize
him. Okay. Hey, it's me, Chris M, your brother. Yeah. Again, as Weewoo already said in chat, thank you guys so much for participating. I definitely appreciate all the guys that got involved. And again, congratulations to Chris. Liru, any closing thoughts on what we've talked about today, or the giveaway?
I want to give a shout out to everyone that helped me win the pizza, and to all of my guys who helped with Operation Valentine, where we literally funded a $3,000 gaming rig for my girlfriend, which I will be building this week and sending pics on Twitter. Thank you for that, and yeah, shout out to Moneybags and Infested DACA, who gave over $1,000 to me to A, help me win the pizza, and B, help with that. So fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And same, I gotta, tell you guys thank you so much for being involved. Ron threw in well over $1,000 himself. And you guys have just been absolutely amazing. And I know that you had that giveaway going for Bloodwing, who secretly is Jester. I am just now learning. Wow, you date Drum. You poor bastard.
It's been a rough relationship.
I can believe that. So, yeah, thank you guys so much. Loster, any closing thoughts?
No. Congratulations, and are you doing another one next week? Are you doing another one next week or no?
Another podcast?
Podcast, yeah.
Well, that'll be what I talk about here in a minute. Thanks for fucking
ruining
the surprise, Loster. Jesus.
The only reason I ask is so that I can say, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to our. If you have any Jewish, of those people in the hanging out. Happy Kwanzaa, blah blah blah. Love everybody.
So,
Peace and love and happiness.
what's going to happen, guys, is there will not be a podcast next week. We are going to be taking a break until the first of the year. So this is going to be the last podcast for 2017. And I think it's a pretty good note to end it on, that we get to give away a fucking badass PC to one of you guys in the communities. So this is going to be the last stream of the year. We won't be back until, I believe it's the 9th or something along those lines, the first Wednesday of 2018. So this is going to be the last one. So this will be the last podcast anyway. It's not going to be the last stream. I'm still going to be streaming stuff and doing, our winter stand down ops and the end of deployment games and all of that. But this is the last podcast. So I definitely appreciate all of you guys joining tonight. And I appreciate the support throughout the fucking year as a whole, especially for this podcast. As I talked about last week, this was something that I just kind of started on a whim due to, Locke telling me, hey, you should do a podcast. And initially I blew it off and said, no, it's fucking stupid. But I decided, what the hell, I'll give it a try. And you guys have made it very fun to do. And it's also been very popular. One of the most popular things that I do on my channel is this podcast, and that's because of you guys. So I definitely appreciate all the support that you guys have shown throughout this year. And yeah, definitely happy fucking Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever the fuck it is you celebrate. Whether it be a couple of candles and a stick or a fat guy in a red suit, whatever. Happy holidays to you, and happy new year. And hopefully we will continue to grow this going into the new year. And that's going to be it for tonight, guys. Thank you for hanging out. Again, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you all later.
We still have an op.
Yes, we still have Squirrel Op after this, so make sure you come back for that. Good night.
Night.
Night.